award, that is the fourth Mohandas Oration Award. And I am also being honored by Kollam Ophthalmic Club asking me to chair this session. Thank you very much. I invite Dr. Giridhar to do his oration.
May I formally introduce Giridhar sir prior to this. The quote Dr. S. Mohandas Memorial Oration is awarded to Dr. Giridhar Anandaraman. Dr. Giridhar Anandaraman is a medical director and chief of vitreoretinal services at Giridhar Eye Institute located in Cochin. After pursuing his undergraduate and postgraduate medical education at Giridhar, he completed his fellowship in vitreoretinal surgery at Shankar Nethralaya, Chennai, and subsequently moved to Cochin, Kerala, where he established one of the first vitreoretinal surgical centers in the state. Today, with over 4 decades of experience as a practicing vitreoretinal surgeon, he is one of the pioneers in this field in the state of Kerala and South India. His primary area of interest is vitreoretinal surgery for advanced diabetic retinopathy, macular surgery, and retinal imaging. He runs a vitreoretinal surgical fellowship program at his institute and has trained over 40 young ophthalmologists in vitreoretinal surgery. He is a keen academician and delivered over 300 lectures in various national and international meetings. He has over 75 published articles in peer-reviewed journals, and he is a member of ASRS and APBRS. He is a reviewer of many peer-reviewed ophthalmology journals. He has undertaken various community-related activities to create awareness about diabetic retinopathy in rural areas. In this context, he has received the Excellence in Ophthalmology Vision Award in the year 2011 conferred by the European School for Advanced Study in Ophthalmology for a project titled Kerala Comprehensive Diabetic Retinopathy Training Model. This was a unique project to create awareness in patients with diabetes by training primary health workers called ASHA workers in remote and geographically inaccessible areas in the state. He is a recipient of J.M. Power Award from the Vitreoretinal Society of India, Dr. C.E. Women Oration Award from the KSOS, APAO Distinguished Service Award by the Asia Pacific Academy of Ophthalmology, the IGO Gold Award, Dr. B. Patnaik Oration awarded by the Vitreoretinal Society of India, the American Society of Retina Specialist Honor Award, and Professor Hem K. Tiwari Lecture awarded by All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Married to Dr. Kanchana, he has 2 daughters, Dr. Sneha and Dr. Divya. The elder one, Dr. Sneha, is pursuing an advanced research fellowship in vitreoretina in Moorfields Eye Hospital, UK, and Dr. Divya is a cornea surgeon trained in Shankar Nethralaya, Chennai. We are proud to have you here today, sir. Over to you for the oration. Thank you.
Good morning to you all. And I thank the Kollam Ophthalmic Association, especially Dr. Rajesh Sukumaran, who was kind enough to invite me for this talk. Any talk in Kerala for me is very important, because if I'm standing here, it's because of the ophthalmologists of Kerala and the people of Kerala. So any talk here is very, very important for me. And it's been a long time since I think I've addressed ophthalmologists in Kerala. I also see some of my old contemporaries like Dr. Verma, Dr. Mahadevan. We have all been working together, seeing each other for many, many years. When I got this photograph of Dr. Mohandas, if I could visualize Dr. Mohandas in my younger days when he was very active as an ophthalmologist, I've always seen him with a suit and a tie with his wife. So, and I think from his CV which he has given to me, he was a very active Rotarian. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of his wife, Dr. Uma Mohandas, here in the audience. So the topic that I chose for this particular lecture is for the first time, I think, in an audience like this, I'm talking on a non-scientific subject. Leadership lessons from 40-year odyssey in ophthalmology. So as we work longer and start, I wouldn't use the word aging, but when seniority creeps up, probably ideas also change. And there are 2 or 3 reasons why I chose this particular topic. Firstly, I tried to, understand my own journey. I came to Kerala from nowhere. I never knew anyone here. I came here by accident. The only person whom I knew when I landed in Cochin was the then director, was of course very supportive, Dr. Pulikin Verghese. And subsequently, of course, we were lucky to have some very good professional friends from the same hospital within a very short period of time. Probably that's the reason why me and my wife stayed on here. And we can never forget those early years in a small town. When Cochin itself was a very, very small town. We could walk on the MG road, you can imagine. The MG road did not have a footpath, and you can even walk on it. So that many number of vehicles only were there at that time. Secondly, I started a department from scratch in the Medical Trust Hospital in a very small area, about 150 square feet. Thirdly, after 11 years, I started at the Giridhar High Institute, again from scratch. And then as running an organization, you are ending up doing so many things, whether you like it or not. So when there were so many things going on in 4 decades, I'm not going to talk about myself, but probably some lessons that I have learned and which may be useful to some of you. And some of you are still very young, you have a long way to go. And today, as far as ophthalmology is concerned, you see more and more of small clinics, small eye hospitals coming up. And I think when they start these small institutions, they should also have, they also face so many challenges. It's not easy to run any organization, small, medium or big. So these are the reasons why I chose this particular topic, leadership lessons from 40-year odyssey in ophthalmology. And what I'm going to do is share some anecdotes of the 40-year history and not generally talk about it. So it's not a management talk. I'm not trained in management or anything like that. But anecdotes is what teaches us a lot in life. So I would like to pay my respects to, in a professional journey, I always feel the first few years are very, very important. The formative years, when you are molded, just like a child is molded in a family, just like a parent has got so many ambitions from their children. And in the process, probably parents sacrifice so much to bring their children. Similarly, there are mentors who probably sacrifice so much, not only to create institutions, but to train and bring people to a higher level of thinking and practice. So probably in my journey, I had also some people, probably I was a little lucky, many of us are lucky that way. The first, of course, I would like to respect my late professor, Dr. Pran Avatar Lamba. All of them are dead and gone. When I joined MS Ophthalmology at JIPMO, that was the worst department in the JIPMO Institute, worst department. There was nothing there. And in fact, I was in a depressive mode. That was one time in my life I was totally depressed. And when, so many opinions, my colleagues used to tell me, you've done the wrong decision, you leave the course and sit and study, next year you try an all-day institute, because we never knew at that time AIMS was such a big center of ophthalmology. And I didn't become an ophthalmologist out of choice, I became out of accident, because it was surgery, ophthalmology, ENT. So I didn't get surgery, it was waiting list 1, I got ophthalmology, my friends told me, you take it next year, you don't know what's going to happen. So that's what happens even today. And the department was a dead department. And one fine morning when we entered the department, we saw the light glowing in the professor's room. So we were wondering what happened. This guy, the new guy has joined. And it was a lazy department. You just enter the place at 9 o'clock leisurely. But this man was already there. He used to sit in his chair at 8 in the morning. And he used to leave at 6:30, 7 in the evening. So he was a great disciplinarian. He was a great clinician. His daily, he used to have the evening clinicals, which starts about 4:30 in the evening. After the OP is over, he'll pick up 2 cases on the OP, and then an in-depth discussion which goes on till 6:30. he prioritized medical records because he was trained in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So obviously, they just carry forward. Young man, he was only 43 years when he came to Chitma. At a very young age, he became a professor. And he emphasized on medical records. His morning rounds used to be something like he used to sweat and fume. And my friends in other specialties wonder, what happened to ophthalmology? All of a sudden, you guys are always in the hospital. And then he was a great clinical researcher. And fortunately, I did my thesis under him. And we could do a lot of work together. So all said and done, that really, was a starting point. As far as, a career is concerned, I think we need to have role models who literally, groom us at that period of time. Otherwise, we end up becoming lazy. We have no ambitions, no drive in life. The second, of course, the person who brought me to Cochin. He is the person who brought me to this city of Cochin and the state of Kerala when he offered me this job of starting an eye department. And in the interview, he asked me, do you know how to use retinal laser? I'm very frank about what I'm telling you. Very interesting also. And then he told me that, look here, there is one big man here, Dr. Tony Fernandez. Now, if I have to do anything in ophthalmology, I need someone who does not do something, who does something which he can't do. So I said, I have used the retinal laser. I'm trained in retinal work. So I can use a laser. I think I should be able to use the laser. So, and then I went back. I came to Cochin through an advertisement in the newspaper, actually. In the Hindu newspaper, there was an advertisement. My neighbor in Hyderabad was from Cochin. My dad asked him about this hospital. He said, no, it's a big hospital there. Why doesn't he go for the interview? So I came down, I attended the interview, I went back. The next day, I get a call from my mentor, Dr. Badrinath, my mentor. He asked me, did you go to Cochin? I said, yeah, I've been to Cochin. So, did you go for an interview in this hospital? I said, yeah. How did this man come to know? In 24 hours now, this man has got, know that I was in Cochin. Now, that is Quilon Beach. So, he managed to find out who is the chairman of the Medical Research Foundation. And he contacted MKK Nair, who was then one of the major promoters or person who was really giving the ideas for the Medical Trust Hospital, a very well-known industrialist at that time. And MKK knew the chairman of Shankar Netralia, and somehow they all connected. And then finally Chief told me that, why don't you just give it a try, they appear to be quite serious. So that's how I landed. But then it took me 5 years to get the laser. That's a different story altogether. So anyhow, he was a great man. Quilon Beach was a great visionary, if I might say so. His main thing is he never interfered in your work. And what I want to tell everyone is, when you get an opportunity, you have to use the best. So I can't say that, look here, I'm trained in retina, I won't do anything else. So I got myself interested in ocular trauma. I used to do a lot of trauma surgeries at that time. I enjoyed doing it. And I got the support because there was good anesthesia, etc. In fact, my first paper in All India Ophthalmological Society was multiple surgical procedures for perforating injuries in the eye in Rajasthan, many years ago, 1990 or 1989. And basically, one of my earliest papers in Kerala was traumatic optic neuropathy. Probably the most common surgical procedure I was doing was tarsorrhaphy. I used to do bedside tarsorrhaphies, and I did some innovation in tarsorrhaphy also. Because I used to put these bandages for these patients lying in coma for 1 month. Every day go, check, put bandage, put drop. Then finally I thought, why do all this? Why not go for tarsorrhaphy? Anyway, they're going to lie like this for 1-2 months. So I did lateral tarsorrhaphy. Then later I started doing lateral median tarsorrhaphy because otherwise the eye doesn't close. So what I want to say is innovation, opportunity. So we have to exploit whatever. You're working in a multi-specialty hospital, probably you may not get that many other cataracts, we'll have to look into other areas. That's what I did. So I used to do trauma, became one of my main areas, and at dead of night I used to go repair open lobe injuries, etc. in large numbers. The third person, of course, is after God, next. I spent only 14 months with him, or 15 months with him, and my relationship was purely a Guru Shiksha. Although, we were quite close, but my relationship was, I never exploited my relationship with late Dr. Badrinath. But then he was an inspirational leader, again a great disciplinarian. But then he was a great trainer. that's the greatest quality that he had. He was a great trainer. In spite of his busy schedule, 6:30 in the morning till midnight in the evening, night, he found time to train. He will see through the assistant microscope and tell you what to do. No, that's something which we, at that time, all of us who were trained used to wonder. This guy, in spite of all his, preoccupations, he found time to train. He had many qualities, but this one quality of his, I think, was amazing, that he found time to train. So all these things inspires anyone. So these are people who are extraordinary. That's how we differentiate. So for them, all these things, hard work, discipline, commitment, passion. So they had a goal, they had a mission, they had a vision, and whatever comes in the way, nothing stops them. They just want to achieve it. So from another point of view, you may think, what did they live? Pulikan Verghese, his day starts from the house to the hospital, he goes back. That's what he was doing. He didn't enjoy life, he didn't have holidays, he didn't travel. But then he was happy. Because that was his mission, that was his vision. He wanted his institution to grow. That was his only ambition. But then they have left a legacy. This guy left a huge hospital, that guy left a big institution. And that guy trained so many ophthalmologists as postgraduates who are working across the world. So from this beginning starts what I may take a little more time. I'm sorry. These are talks which unfortunately can drag on for minutes together, and if you get into a mood, it may even go on. So you can stop me at any point of time. So with these few words, I thought I'll just give you a few lessons. Thoughts from my experience. All of us are not perfect. We are not great leaders. We are leaders at home also. As parents, we bring up our children. That's also leadership. We want to inculcate good habits in them. There's a saying like, a dad was trying to tell his son why you shouldn't be smoking when he himself is smoking. So that doesn't set an example. So in the formative years are the most important years, where we lay the foundation. It's like building a house. We have to lay the foundation. The foundation has to be strong. If the foundation is weak, it will all crack. And in today's world, most of us are lost. Because, there are so many opportunities. We are living in a different world. Everything has changed. Like today, the CME itself, you see, 40 years ago, can you think of having a CME where you have cornea, lens? No. Dr. T.P. Itiara and L.F. Angamali was doing everything from front to back. He was a good surgeon. But then he was a versatile surgeon. He was doing retina also. I think he was doing corneal transplant also. He was doing DCR also. So, from that point of time, things are completely changed. So we have total subspeciality, where probably comprehensive ophthalmology is losing its importance. That's also equally important. So the formative years are very, very important. And in the formative years, we should be, our attitudes, our character, everything becomes very, very important. So I put some of the very important points which all of us know. There's nothing new. We are very affable. I always remember about a statement made by one surgeon called Nicholas Sakau. I do not know whether Dr. Mahesh remembers. 23 years ago, Mahesh had just joined our hospital. We went for an in-person meeting organized by my good friend Dr. Natarajan. And there was one Nicholas Sakau who gave a talk. Affable, available, affordable. The 3 A's which are very necessary when you start your medical practice. So these are very, very important. And most important is patient-doctor relationship. This has to go beyond just treating the patient. It has to go beyond treating a patient. We have to understand them. And probably in my early years, at least when I didn't know anyone here, the patients became my friends. Many of my patients became my friends. Because you can see a vast array of people. Industrialists, corporates, ordinary man, retired people, all types of people. So, if somewhere you try to get into some sort of a, entanglement, if I may say so, which in the long run probably is very, very useful in our career. So, and we have to understand our strengths and weaknesses. And we have to develop. See, in today's world, we have to continuously work. See, yesterday there was a talk. I do not know how many of you listen. I rarely see the TV, but 2 days ago, when I switched on the TV with my very elderly dad, the NVIDIA, that's supposed to be one of the biggest companies on artificial intelligence, he was giving a talk in Mumbai. The one sentence which he said, the world is moving, knowledge is moving at the speed of light. Knowledge is moving at the speed of light. So as I am talking to you, there is something happening in ophthalmology in some corner of the world which may change things. So in such a situation, upskilling knowledge, improving skills becomes very, very important. You are all attending CMEs, but for me, I think more than attending CMEs is trying to improve surgical skills. And basically the concept of wet lab training, attending that, those sort of, in Europe you have a lot of these live cadaver surgical training programs. I mean, because you can't train much in human eyes. So I think seeing videos, etc. That's how people like us learned surgery, because we came from an area where there was no microsurgery to doing all these complicated procedures. And even when we did fellowship, vitreous surgery was just in its infancy. So by looking at videos, etc., somehow, you try to just, but then it's a lot of effort. So we need to upskill knowledge. But the most important thing I feel is that in the formative years is how we develop a patient-doctor relationship. And how patients become our ambassadors. In good old days, no social media, but patients become your social media. I put 2 photographs I picked up from my hospital inauguration, small gathering we had, so I picked up these 2 pictures. The top one is one man, he's next to my dad. He was something like a father figure to me, and so much so that I used to wonder, why is this man taking so much interest in my professional career? He came to me as a patient, I operated him, then he became a well-wisher, he became a friend. He used to come to home on Sundays and with some of his friends to discuss with me as to what I should do to improve my... I used to wonder, why is this man? And that was the sort of attachment. So he was a Konkani from Matanjeri. And so much so that in my operation list at one period of time, 90% of my patients were from North Cherlai, South Cherlai, Matanjeri, Gujarati, Marwadi, Rajasthani. So it was like that. So that was the sort of influence this man used to call me for the festivals they conduct, and then he'll introduce me to 110 people there. I used to feel very odd also. But then he wouldn't stop. The second man, of course, his dad I treated for diabetic retinopathy. And then somehow, some friendship. And he has been, even now, he is part of our hospital, many activities. But then he became part of my professional journey, and when we started, he came out of the way to help in so many things. So there are, these sort of, acquaintances literally change our perception. It gives us a lot of confidence. And that's what probably keeps us going in the long run. My second topic is leadership in crisis. This is a very, very important area in practice. And in this 40-year journey, you come across everything, especially when you do so many things, you will end up in so many problems. There's a saying, like Dr. Pulikin Verghese once told me, Mone, if there is no problem, means this place is not running. And when I got my first consumer case, when I was in medical trust, I took that notice to him. He looked at it and told me, oh, good. Now you are becoming big. That's why you're getting these sort of notices. So these are all, great statements. But then what I want to tell you is, we have to be prepared for the worst, the unexpected thing. And 6 months or 5 or 6 to 6 months after we started our Giridhar Institute in just a small area, 1,200 square feet was or a little more than that, one doctor, one anesthetist. And there was a death on the operating table. We are only 2 people, 2 doctors, me and the anesthetist. And that lady was a very young lady at that time. And this patient actually was operated. He just sat up after the surgery and then just collapsed. And she tried all her resuscitation methods and it failed. Probably, it's a crisis which is very difficult, especially when you're all alone. So fortunately, I was very calm. I think in times of trouble, God gives you some inner strength to, overcome that situation. I was very calm. But then I have to come out of the operation theatre. So my anesthetist at that time told me, I've intubated everything. Should we shift the patient to medical trust and we can declare it there? I said, and then I thought it's a risky thing. Because you take a 10%, the people here are very intelligent, they know everything, and we are trying to cover up something, etc. So many issues. So I just called the son to one room and politely, I told him surgery കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടിങ്ങനെ ആയിപ്പോയി, കുറേ ട്രൈ ചെയ്തു, നടന്നില്ല, ചെക്ക് മരിച്ചുപോയി, വാക്സിൻ ട്രൈ ചെയ്തു. And this fellow, he literally started crying. He went out, he told us another relative, and immediately within 15 minutes, as expected, some 10 people were there. Anyway, what happened was I was very cool and calm, but nonetheless, I called at that time, one of the IG of police was known to me. I called him, I asked him what to do. Should I, take some, because I thought that some arrest warrant or something like that, whether he should take a bail, etc. He said, hold on, don't worry, just be quiet, but autopsy is necessary, he said. So anyway, in the midst of all this, there was the relatives were mentioned about Dr. Pradeep Kumar, one Dr. Pradeep Kumar, and immediately he was known to me. I went into another room, called him immediately, I told him what happened. He was very kind, he rushed in 5 minutes, and then he pacified everyone. He went into the OT, he saw the defibrillator, this, that, intubation done, everything, and then finally he said, don't worry, I will take care of all this. So that was, therefore, what I want to say is that one is transparency, very important. I feel we should not try and cover up things. Because when we cover up things, if we tell one lie, we have to tell 100 lies. So basically, transparency most often, I think, helps us to be straight and forward rather than trying to cover up anything. Systems and processes. In this patient, he was a cardiac patient. We had already taken the cardiac fitness. There was a letter from the cardiologist. So everything was there. All the infrastructure was there, like this cardiac resuscitation facilities. Everything was there in the hospital. And of course, the professional standing of the individual also to a certain extent helped. So in times of crisis, I think one is we have to be a little cool and calm. We should try and get in touch with people whom we know and basically get over the situation. The second crisis which comes to my mind is cluster endophthalmitis. So just a couple of years ago, when the institution was quite big, already big department, a lot of good people working with us. Many of them are working here today to participate in this program. We had a cluster endophthalmitis. 9 patients operated by a single surgeon in a same OT within 24 hours. So on that day, I'm entering the hospital at 9 at my usual time, and I get this. Already the information is spreading that patients are coming with this infection, and nosocomial infections. Within 24 hours, they just start eating the eye. So, again, a very, very difficult. So you can do many things. You can go to your room, you can call the OT sister, you can call the surgeon, start, debating about it, start shouting about it, start finding out how it happened. But again, the conscience, finally conscience gives us the direction that first we have to be a doctor. We have to find a solution to what has happened. So I entered the operation theatre. I started, and from morning 9, and as I was operating, more and more cases coming. From 9 to 5:36, we continuously did vitrectomy for all these cases. And fortunately, the last patient that was operated that day had the least infection and got back vision. All the others I went. So basically, what I want to tell is, in such situations, when there is a complication, it is our duty to take total responsibility. If we are running a clinic and we get a small hospital, we have to take the total responsibility. There's a tendency to refer and forget. Out of sight, out of mind. That doesn't work. I remember many, many years ago, 23, 24 years ago, when I just started, maybe 6 months, 8 months after we started the hospital, one of my senior surgeons in Cochin had a dropped nucleus. Now he took the patient in his car, brought him to the hospital. We did the surgery, he was there, and then he put the patient in the car, put him in his house. So that is ownership, total responsibility of a particular situation. And when someone makes a mistake, it is our responsibility also. We should be taking, there is no use trying to find fault. If he has made a fault, I am also equally responsible. That means the system, the processes, the SOP, somewhere it has gone wrong. And if we are not able to implement the SOPs properly, the responsibility finally goes to the head of the institution only. There is no use saying that this fellow did like that, that fellow did like that. Therefore, that is what is known as leadership, ownership, whatever you want to call it. And fortunately, at that period of time, once a person at the head of as the leader of the team, whether he is head of the department or whatever it is, takes up that sort of a responsibility, then automatically the team falls in place. So the others also cooperate with you in the organization, in the team, etc. And then the solutions are better. So we did what best was possible. We followed the SOPs as far as the procedures were concerned, but then the team rose to the occasion because there was we created that sort of an environment. And of course there was delegation, etc. We formed teams, etc. Anyway, that's not part of my talk. But what I want to analyze, emphasize here is the importance of taking responsibility, importance of taking ownership. Whenever there is, because when there is a crisis, all of us try to get one step back. Because otherwise, we don't want to take that. We are scared. There is something that tells us what to do. So we need to move forward rather than backward. And that is what differentiates a good from a bad leader. And most importantly, find the root cause. In this case, we found the root cause. The root cause was found immediately. What was the reason why this happened? And of course, it has never been repeated after that. The next crisis was the COVID pandemic. The COVID pandemic really was a crisis for any organization, any institution. It was a big challenge. It was a challenge which went on for months together. And in any organization, we are caught with 3 or 4 things. One is health and well-being of the employees, managing resources, team motivation, patient safety. I'm not talking about patient safety, etc. and all that stuff. But then I'm talking about the crisis and the problems and how, things went okay from the point of view of an institution and its manpower. Because ultimately in an institution, the people are the most important. If you are not able to look after them, there's no use running an institution. We are not running it for ourselves, we are running it for everyone together. And that's very, very important. So at that period of time, I just want to tell you how the COVID vaccination center that we started in our hospital was really a game changer. I can never forget that. We somehow got it. We have a very small hospital, big hospital like Aster, Rajagiri. We got so many big institutions in Cochin, dime a dozen. And in the midst of all that, we somehow managed to get the COVID vaccination center in our hospital. And I told myself that I will take the vaccination only after the COVID vaccination center starts, because I got so many people working here. I cannot just go through a path and go to I can go. There are enough doctors. In fact, the senior government doctor who helped me in getting this COVID vaccination center told me, Giri, you come and take, your wife also come and take government hospital. I said, no, I got so many people here. But the COVID vaccination center vaccinated all the employees, the immediate family members, and the neighborhood, the whole neighborhood. So that way we could create because that's very important, creating an acceptance in the society as an institution. And that way we could really, so many people, and some of the very senior doctors who was known to me, in fact, Dr. Narayan Gudi also came and had his vaccination, COVID vaccination center. No termination of any employee, no layoffs. We divided into shifts. Somehow we managed. And many years ago, when one of our staff members got a cancer, and I got the information, that she had to spend so much money. Because nowadays, large percentage of staff are not covered with ESI because of the, once they cross a particular level. So we thought, why not have a health insurance? So I started this health insurance where 80% of the amount is paid by the hospital, 20% is paid by. It covers the families, it covers nearly 150 staff. Nearly we spend over 1 crore. This health insurance cover was really like a boon at that time. Because many staff get COVID, relatives get COVID, etc., and they get covered. And many of them came and told me, Sara, because they go to better hospitals, they get better treatment, and COVID was covered. I mean, it was covered by insurance, by many insurance companies. And in a corporate insurance or group insurance, it is always covered. So, basically, what I want to say is when we run institutions, we should not look at ourselves. We have to be people's man. We should identify ourselves among everyone. There is no use having a... I always say, one of my old friends came once for a consultation. He said, you sit in such a small room. I said, rooms don't make people. So, you don't have to come in a luxury car to show everyone that you own the place. So, these sort of changes, I mean, probably is what keeps the institution going. The motivation of the employees to always remember the good things that has been done. So in an organization, we are caught with many things. We have to be doctors running hospitals is not an easy thing at all, because we see patients, we do surgery, we administrate, team leaders responsible for success and failure, and we have to create a vision and mission for the organization. So everything put together, it's a challenge. What I would advise everyone is, at an early stage, you must delegate. You should not keep everything on your head. 13, 14 years ago, many years ago, nearly 16 years ago, we got a HR department, because HR is a very important area. Labor issues, always you have to be very careful. So many years ago, we got a HR department. We are having a HR manager for many years. The moment we realized that the hospital is this thing, we got a facility manager. So we have got plenty, I mean, it's a huge administrative team, back office team, which probably we as medical professionals, when we enter a hospital, we don't realize how these things help. At an early stage, we went into electronic medical records, nearly 13, 14 years ago. We spent a lot of money at that time. But then, because I was very close to Dr. Badrinath, and each time I meet him, he used to dream about this EMR. He was the first person who brought EMR and ophthalmology in India in a big way. Small programs were available. So I thought, why not we? Because we didn't have space to keep medical records. These medical records eat up so much space. And investing a huge amount of money, we started EMR 13, 14 years ago. So these sort of delegation and bringing in technology will reduce your role in administration to a large extent, and if you have trustworthy people, you can concentrate on what you want to do, and you spend more time doing what you like rather than sitting in the morning and addressing day-to-day issues, which always happen, right, from electricity to water to labor to whatever it is. In any organization, I feel that training is very important. Staff training is very important. There has to be a continuous process. And they are the people whom everyone meets. They are the people with whom the patients open up and tell many things. The other doctors, they have always this thing. They talk a little bit, high wire, everything, but then certain ticklish issues, they may be very hesitant to talk to the doctor. So training becomes very important, and in training, core values, vision and mission of the institution is very important. I always emphasize on one-to-one interaction. As far as staff is concerned, recently 150 staff we met on a one-to-one basis. 100. And must visit them. I visit. Whenever there is a wedding, I go for the houses, because basically we must know what is the standard of living, because always there is no use looking at ourselves. Their standard of living, this thing has to be. That gives you satisfaction. If they are able to educate their children better and bring them up better, that's more important. So running an institution means looking after its people, the ordinary people. That's very important. And think out of the box. When I was very active, when I used to travel a lot, every other week I used to go somewhere, some CME, something. And this driver of our hospital used to pick me up properly. Very nice man. So I was wondering, what's this? So many times he comes to the airport. So I thought, why not we do something? Why not, if Air Deccan has come, why not we arrange one picnic for some of these people who have been with us? And that's how some of this, it was going on for a couple of years, where we used to send this on picnic, go to Bangalore by flight, enjoy for 3 days and come back. So first time they were going traveling by air. So, that gives you satisfaction that, okay, at least some change for them. Because many of them in Cochin, I have not know, some of my colleagues will know, when you go for camps, we realize that they are staying in one corner of the city, they are not visited the other corner. People staying in Kakinada, as not staying in Fort Kochi. So that's the level to which they live. Their life is so within that family, within that framework. So some of the lessons that I have learned after running our institution 40 years. The most first and foremost what I want to say is this one. Do not let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace. This is, I think, very, very important. Because good old days, I sometimes tell that I might have lost about 5 years of my life in the process of doing all this. Because someone will say something and then it bothers you. And then in your morning walk, instead of relaxing, you keep thinking about that. It just keeps coming in, coming out. Why is it happening? Why is that person? Why is he behaving like this? What is wrong? Did I do something? So this is so when we meet people, it may be in departments, it may be among 4 people, it may be among anything, anywhere. Now Madam was in the ESI hospital, I'm sure she would have had so many such situations like this. So this is the most, great statement by Dalai Lama. So I just saw it and put it here. But this is very important, and at least to a large extent, I have learned to this way, not going inside. Not easy, but try. Never react to a situation in haste. This is again very, very important. Someone will come here and tell you something. You don't even know whether it is true. Before you understand, you start reacting to it. Always listen to the other side. Only then you will know what is the truth. This is again a very, very, very important. Whenever we run institutions, organizations, anything, department organizations, never react to a situation in haste. Think before you act. You have to be a very effective listener. You have to be very calm. There is no use in arrogance, anger, etc. It doesn't reach anywhere. All this I've learned, basically. There is no use. You have to be angry when it is really necessary. But then just blowing your tongue out unnecessarily, uncontrolled, doesn't really give answers. And create trust. And when we mean trust, trust means what you practice, what you say you practice. That is very, very important. Years ago, when I stopped the cataract, doing other surgery, I was doing many things, but I stopped cataract in 1996, 97, 98. So I brought a cataract surgeon. He is one of the few people who I asked and brought. Others came, but then he is one of the few. I told him, the moment you join, I will stop doing the cataract. And I did it. The day he joined, I stopped cataract. But I said, whatever patients come to me, I will give it to you. Whosoever is willing, you do. Otherwise, let them go. So trust is very important. In leadership, trust is very important. Don't be driven by your competitor. These suppliers will come and tell you, sir, he has bought this, what about you? So once I told him, my neighbor has bought a Mercedes, I can't buy one. Can I? So don't be driven by your competitor. You must understand your strengths. Develop your strength. Your strength is what is going to carry on. Just because X or Y did something, Z cannot do that. I even tell some of my colleagues now, they'll come and say, sir, what about that? So you think about it, but then you must understand your strength. Just because X or Y did this, you don't have to bother. Therefore, you have to strengthen your area of pursuit and work towards what your passion and interest is. And that way you will go. So you should be driven by passion and not outcomes. In this, one anecdote, what I would say is the PDT treatment that we started 20-21 years ago. So when we got the PDT laser in our institution, we were the first people to buy the PDT laser. Buy the PDT laser by giving money, 15-20 lakhs. The other big institutions who had got the PDT, the company Novartis gave PDT laser free because they saw there is a potential for making money. So they put 2-3 lasers here and they said no problem because Recipient is going to give us money. So the late Dr. Babu Rajendran, who was a very big well-wisher of mine, he rang me from Chennai. He said, Giri, I heard you about the PDT laser. I said, yeah, you are a crazy nut. You know something? They are giving it free, man, to others, and you went and bought it. But then there was a passion to do something. because we started the macula clinic, and that has driven the department. The people who are working there, the needs of retina people. I mean, so you should be driven by passion and not by outcomes. And sometimes, you have to do things which are necessary, which is because of this thing. And creating a subspecialty practice is not easy. It requires a lot of hard work. First of all, you have to meet up. Your colleagues should gain the confidence in you. Your colleagues should gain the confidence in you that yes, this is a guy whom I can trust to send my patient. Because that doctor is going to tell that patient that, look here boss, I'm going to send here, he's good. So that is the responsibility that we have when that patient comes. And that is the responsibility or the risk that the doctor has taken when he is sending the patient. So it's a two-way process. So when I came here, I was only an ophthalmologist. I was doing a good thing. I knew retina. I did my first buckle in 1986. When I did that, I sent the photo to Dr. Badrinath, and he showed it in the consultant meeting and said, look here, this guy has done. So I was so thrilled that I came here and did one retinal detachment surgery. That itself was a great achievement for me at that period of time with the limited resources like that. And as I told you, I created project reports, this, that, met late Dr. Pulikin Verghese at least 100 times before finally we got the laser, and along with the laser we were fortunate to get a good microscope also. And one of the first persons to get operated in that also was late Dr. Pulikin Verghese. And that is a great leader. He didn't go anywhere for cataract. I did it. So that's again the sign of a great leader. He could have gone, Madras, Madurai, Arvind. He said, no, let this microscope come and you do it for me. So that is again a sign of a great leader, a big man. Empower everyone. This is again very important. Keeping everything inside to ourselves is probably again not the right thing. So many people are like that. They continuously go. So when I was in medical trust again, its lead senior cardiologist there was dismissed on 10 morning. One fine morning he came, one big man, very, very big man. You take his name at that time, it's like God. But then this man had the guts to send him on. Why? Because he was a stumbling block to the development of cardiology. Because this man was an old-time cardiologist, he was not doing angioplasty, he is not doing anything. But then he is not allowing anyone to enter that department also. So what will that, so he didn't actually, looking at from my point of view, from this point of point, at this point of time, what probably he did was absolutely correct. Because he was a stumbling block to develop the department. So leaders should empower everyone, encourage all, because that's how you grow. You go to a conference, you are the head of the department, you find all your team people presenting papers. It gives you total satisfaction. But then you go to a conference, only you are presenting, no one else is there. That's no use. So we have to empower everyone, we have to encourage all. What is success? So many definitions of that. To me, this particular thing from a great book, if you are people here read novels, books, not fiction, you must read this book, Man's Search for Meaning, by Viktor Frankl. He is a Nazi prisoner who was in Auschwitz. He survived and he wrote a book. He was a psychologist, Man's Search for Meaning. It's an amazing book, small book. I've read it about twice. So in that he says, the more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you're going to miss it. Success like happiness cannot be pursued, it must be ensured, and it only does so as the unintended side effect is like karma yoga. What does karma yoga? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, don't get attached to anything. You do your duty. So that's what this great man, Viktor Frankl, also says in his book. So I will end with two instances, two more anecdotes. So this is an old patient of mine who just came back very recently. He was in 2012, he came with advanced PDR, he came in a wheelchair. He was only 38 years old, just married, young man, young child, young girl. Practically no vision. I still remember the face of his wife. Underwent multiple surgeries in both the eyes. And then 2014, after that he has not come. Suddenly, just about 2 weeks back, he came. He is 50 years old, healthy. He's got good vision in both eyes. He has got cataract in the left eye. He is from Kollam. He is from Kayangoda. So he came. He became very emotional. I also became very emotional because I was so happy that someone who was like that is still living. He's living with good vision. He is working. And he wanted to, he said, എനിക്ക് മോളെ ഒന്ന് introduce ചെയ്യണം ഡോക്ടർ. മോളെ വിളിച്ച് grown up 16-year-old girl. So that is success for a doctor. For a doctor, we have been given this unique opportunity to change lives. And if we have 100, 200 such gentlemen across here and there, that is success for us. Wealth, happy, position, power, everything is necessary. But then this is what I think is keeping us going. This is what success is for us. And what keeps us going is such patience. And there is another patient who came with me recently and he asked me, Dr. Maranavoyo, he has grown up now. he is getting married. So he came to meet me. This guy had bilateral detachment way back in 2000 or 2001. Both eyes were operated simultaneously. Then in one eye he had multiple surgeries. But after all that, now he is a male nurse in Qatar and he is getting married. So he wanted to. So these are, stories which keeps us going even after 40 years. And this particular statement, true wealth is not measured in money or status or power. It is measured in the legacy we leave behind for those who love and those we inspire. So this is the ultimate aim and objective. So I was wondering about 2 weeks back in the Sunday Standard, the cover article was Ghost Houses in Kerala. So many big mansions lying locked. No one to live, no one to take care of what to achieve. And finally, the most important thing in mankind, what is it? The mind. The mind controls everything. The sense organs control the mind. And if you are not able to control the mind, we will reach no mind. So this particular sentence, if you can change your mind, you can change your life. So meditation, yoga, etc. probably for people who lead a very busy, tough life with a lot of challenges, definitely it controls us, keeps us in the calm and this thing. It gives us motivation. I think the Prime Minister of our country is an apt example. Energy comes from somewhere. And finally, thank you all. This particular picture of Ganesha is from my hospital, lying in one corner right from the beginning. This Aarti was lit for 15 years by the cleaner, one of the cleaning staff system, Mrs. Mary. And after she retired, by a facility boy called Ranjit, he likes it, puts this thing, and it's lying silently, blessing this institution, blessing all of us. Thank you all for the talk.
Thank you so much, sir, for that enlightening speech. We now invite Dr. Rajiv Sukumaran to give the mementos to Dr. Giridhar.
That was a